when we have runaway days in the market like what we're experiencing today, we don't know this at the beginning of the day. We don't know that we're going to see a big range on the ES or a big range on the S&P, NASDAQ, and Q. We don't know that that's going to happen at the open, right? So let's forget about some sort of strategy that would dictate, hey, we know that this is going to be a huge grinding kind of day. No, we just take the morning for what it was, a gap open that never even triggered a potential gap fade. So that's your first cue that the bulls are really taking control. Again, no insight into where we could go, but you certainly know it's directional bias to the long side, and that's further confirmed by the clearing range breach. So here's the top of the clearing range, and we breach higher. That's it. So at that point, if we can get a move back down, that's as good as it got this morning based on clearing range levels, gang. A retest. That's it. And then the rest of the day, once the clearing range turns into a double green, when did this market go double green? Pretty much entirely through about 10:30 to 11:30. This market was double green. So and through that hour, you know that you don't want to short, and you're looking for ways to get long. That's all, right? That's all. And then as we go into 10:30 to 11:30, we're looking to see whether or not we get an initial balance breach, which would give us more insight into the second half of the day. Again, no clue that we're going to continue to grind higher, but it sure does help when we get a 60-minute initial balance breach. No reason to pick a top here either. Again, those more conservative levels that I'd like at the HPMR zone or at the VWAP zone didn't come, but you're not shorting the market, right? And so getting that direction right is so important, because today, as long as you were looking for even a minor pullback to a 13 or a 21 or maybe a red dot entry, 2 red dot entry, as long as you were looking to the upside, you were good, right? If we go ahead and look at the NQ, and so I guess the bottom line of this is know your directional bias, obey it, and then work with that direction. Because I think the first inclination for traders who couldn't get in with their typical favorite strategies, like I couldn't get in with my V-score. I could not get in today with my retreat. It was not even a retest on the NQ. So there's this voice inside of our head that says, well, let's just short it. Well, that's just dumb, right? We want to just be aware that there are just going to be different types of potential buys. That's it. Red dots, oversold, test of the wave. That's where the focus is. And then once we take the initial balance level out, I feel that much more certain. Not that we'll continue to grind higher quickly, but that it's just more likely the path of least resistance is up. And that's the best way to describe a day like today, which is awesome as it moves higher, can be really frustrating unless you can let go. Like for me, I had to let go of the fact that breach retreat wasn't going to happen. I had to let go of the fact that a V-score test wasn't going to happen. And I had to go to other more aggressive strategies and make sure that I'm not making the bozo no-no of the contrarian sort of not so well disguised revenge trade of, well, I'm just going to short it. Right? So that's the way I look at a day like today, which is deceptively difficult to trade when the market just continues to move higher with very few significant corrections to the downside, especially between 10 and about 10:45. So think about how you're determining directional bias and staying committed to it. And then think about, what are your more aggressive entries? Is it the wave? Is it the HPMR? Is it the propulsion dots? Is it a 2 red dot 3/8 cross, which is a very twitchy but interesting way to get in at an aggressive level? If the candles go red, are you suddenly going to start to short? Or are you asking yourself, gosh, could there be an oversold buy here? Don't let this be, oh, finally we're going to move to the downside and short this. Oh, no, no. Look to the long side regardless. So I hope that sort of gives you some insight into how I would set the day up from the morning. And that means anything after 2 o'clock, gang, is a trailing stop, is at worst a break even, or at this point you might have scaled out and you're just flat, right? But there's no short for me here whatsoever. I'm simply not allowed to do it. And the second half of the day, not when I'm going to be engaging the market. So think about that. When do you want to put your trades in? How do you want to protect your downside? And how do you incrementally, based on time throughout the morning, continue to confirm your directional bias? And that's how I do it.